Is it live? What up, traders? What up, investors? Ken here from Dyslexic Investor. Thank you for tuning in for a live stream tonight. Of course, this is the traditional Sunday live stream that we like to do to kind of look and gaze at the week ahead and kind of just look at what's going on. There's breaking news, all kinds of things. The one that we're really going to be discussing quite substantially about, I think, this week again, really with earnings season really kicking off this week. So earnings season again kind of started out last week with some of the bank stocks, and they actually did pretty phenomenally well. And then you kind of can see if you're watching along, I pinned in the comment section via the chat panel on highlighting the earnings whispers. So basically a nice little graphical calendar that kind of shows the earnings that are happening pre or before the market opens and after the market. So there's they do a fantastic job to kind of really give a nice little graphical overview of what is expecting this week. I can slide it over here. Again, it's pinned in the comment section. Of course, we got some big names coming out. They kind of prioritize it from the top to bottom. They kind of look at things to be a very interesting one, as well as, of course, right across the top, we have Coca-Cola, IBM, Johnson & Johnson, Netflix, Verizon, Land Research, Snap, Schlumberger. We have, of course, American Express, Intel, AT&T, Chipotle, get that burrito, Intuit Surgical, CSX. We have Whirlpool, Halliburton. We have Southwest, DR Horton, a huge housing market there. We have CSX, again, a lot to do with that. We have Lockheed Martin, P&G, Harley Davidson, see how they're doing. If there's a revising of buying of motorcycles. Of course, really United's going to be the one interesting one to watch really for Monday, and especially with IBM as well. Coke will be interesting as well. I think just because of a lot of their earnings were hit due to like closings of bars and sports arenas and things like that. As you see, if Coke's is what their outlook is, what they're going to be looking at, and then looking again on seeing how they move forward. So we're going to be kind of coming back to that quite often throughout the stream, so we'll have some fun with that without a doubt. Looking here at the overall market, we have the futures slightly down here. We have been looking at the NASDAQ as of right now. We're down 0.27, 0.28%. Nothing too much, about 37 points as of right now. Still trading at that very tippy top around nearly that $14,000 range for the NASDAQ. That same goes to the S&P 500. Down ever so slightly. Same with the RUT, also down about 0.5% there. The one that actually took a pretty large hit was the old Bitcoin. So Bitcoin did get smacked around here a little bit, smacked into that $65 range, $65,000 range. Again, looking at that has come back quite a bit here the last 2 or 3 days, bouncing off that 56 to 56,300 range, which lines up to the 34 EMA. That's really the first line of support, if we can see there. We do have some stronger support coming in around like 55,000 range, and we can potentially see if we do get a bounce around that. So what I'm highlighting on that red line is basically the 50 SMA there. But as you can see here, Bitcoin, the chatter, the Dogecoin, everything else, anything with crypto has been pretty much gone to gangbusters and has been really going into all-time crazy mode in my analysis on that. What's up, Alpaca? Gary, what's up? David, how you doing? Hope all is well. My portfolio took a poop last week. Yeah, I was actually gonna do something. So I don't know how many people are still into heavily loving RK. Just to kind of give you a little analyst, so RK hasn't recovered. It hasn't recovered at all, actually, because it hit the tippy top on 2/16 or February 16th, and it has not really even recovered from the 50 SMA here. So kind of comparing this being, again, arcade innovation fund, groundbreaking stuff, I would kind of compare it to the NASDAQ, right? So let's just kind of skip on over to the QQQ. Of course, that tippy topped out around the 16th as well on February, but it has recovered. It has gotten back above the 50 SMA, and it has made a very strong push higher and actually made into newer all-time highs. So that is a good case for that, and I think sadly, RK is just a little bit lagging here, lagging quite a bit, to be quite honest. Really seeing it kind of peter out here around 130 to 132. I really need to see to get above those prices to see how pans out. Alpaca looking at $9 put for Nikola expiring 423. Yeah, Nikola has just been an interesting one without a doubt. Let's be honest here, ladies and gentlemen. We talked about this one quite a bit here. Of course, I think everyone's pretty familiar with the story, so I don't have to give the whole scenario of what Nikola is or has or was or what it wanted to be. It is, again, it break to an all-time low on Friday. It's still continually trending lower here. Alpaca, again, it looks like it has, it's not, yeah, the trend is just, look at that. The 5 and 8 moving averages here on the daily chart is just continuously downward trending here. It has not been able to get back above the 8 EMA here in the daily chart. So that's just a very aggressive, just continuous downward tick. And really want to see if that, again, this, we've seen Nikola make really crazy moves higher for whatever reasons, that they can pull a rabbit out of the hat and still fool or pull a blindfold over some people. So I'm a little like hesitant on just going like full short on this one. I know, Alpaca, you've been on this one for quite some time, so it somewhat makes sense on your diagnosis on the move here. So 423, that's less than, what is that, a week? Yeah, so this Friday you have the $9, open up please, $9 put. There's actually not that much volume there. That's weird, interesting. There's a lot more at the $10, interesting. But the expected move for only the week is only $1. So the stock has to move quite a bit here. So it's basically closer to 11 than it is 10. So we really need to see it substantially pull back even further than what the options markets expect. So not saying you can't make money, but I think you probably are up on the position as well if we can, because it has been trading lower for quite some time there. Is the Tesla crash in Texas going to wreck Tesla? I'm not too familiar with the Tesla crash. What was it? Did someone put it on autopilot again and drive down the street 130 miles per hour? I'm not too familiar with it. Let me just do a quick Tesla crash Texas. Let's see what pops up. 2 people killed in a Ferrari Tesla crash with no one driving. What? 2 killed in driverless car crash, officials say. Yeah, I think that's going to need some more investigation. Again, we'll see how that goes. Again, could it affect it? It could be a little blimp on the stock, but I don't think it's going to be like all the short sellers are going to come out and just say F Tesla and it's terrible and things like that. So we just need to know more information, honestly. I think it's a little bit more too soon to say on what were the circumstances in that crash. Again, I haven't read it. I just literally looked at about 3 headlines and read the first paragraph of one. Wasn't very clear. With Tesla, we do have earnings coming out, not this week, but the following week. So we're in that with less than 2-week time frame. So you have to be very mindful about that. We have not been able to really get back above that $762, so $762 for some time. And we haven't really seen a really that push higher to those levels that we saw previously. At that level, but we have seen this whole last week was a pretty nice little rebound in the stock here. So we're still seeing it pretty aggressively trading here on the 5 and 8 moving averages. So again, for the expected move just for this week is about $52. So let's just round it to $53 actually. And then of course next week, which is earnings week, is jumping to $100. So that really gives the chart potential a lot of wiggle room. I think most people know who traded or actually heard of Tesla or looked at their stocks or options. It's very volatile. So trying to trade around that 740-ish range, that can easily jump past 840 or go all the way back down to that 640 to 624 range, which we've seen some pretty significant support there before. So that kind of falls into the 144 EMA there. So that kind of makes somewhat sense. And of course, that previous really strong breakout zone is that $900 range, which we've meandered at it for some time before that little pullback in the overall NASDAQ. But yeah, definitely would like to see. I don't think this, unless there was like someone hacked into the car and they controlled it and made it crash, that would be a bigger story. But again, like to know more about that as well. Let's make some money. Yes. Sorry, I'm getting caught up with all the things. Let's see here. The market is very bullish, and I've heard we might fall into a red week. Can you confirm? I wish I could tell you that we're going to have a red week. So just looking at the NASDAQ, just looking at the QQQ, we've come up quite a bit really fast here. Let's be honest. We were seeing the 5 and 8 moving averages pretty aggressively trading. We haven't touched the 8 EMA here, which is the purple line here. We've just kind of been meandering and kind of holding that 5 EMA and just continue to grind higher. Could we have a little bit of a stalemate? Maybe just trade sideways, because again, it's not this week, it's really the next week and the following week where we're going to have a lot of those large FANG stocks. We're going to have the Apples, we're going to have the Teslas, we're going to have the Amazons, the Microsofts, all report. We have like Netflix, which is the bigger one kind of this week. But I think people are just kind of maybe sitting on their hands and kind of waiting on how earnings could potentially move us higher. Because again, this is not 2020 anymore. We don't have hopes and dreams of just making this really crazy rebound come back here. We really need to have some kind of earnings, some kind of that momentum, and actually seeing hard evidence data, which is kind of shocking to some people. Like, oh wait, the stocks just don't always go up. Like, no, they don't actually. Sorry, I don't want to pop your bubble there, but they don't. But with that note, we could just kind of potentially just kind of hold here, maybe just trade sideways for a little bit until we start seeing some of those larger earnings coming out and really kind of tell a narrative story behind that. But the expected move for the QQQ this week is around $6.50. So pretty significant range. So around that 342 could easily put us back to around, again, that 5 EMA would be its first level here of support, but we do have some pretty significant support coming in around $336 if we do get a pullback in that one. Gold on fire, the moon. Can't afford another red week though. Lost 1/3 of my savings. Oh wow, I'm sorry to hear that, my friend. David J, long time no talk. Yes, been a busy man. Hopefully we'll be back substantially more. Hey Ken, love what you do. I got 17750 April call for Airbnb, paid $8. I'm thinking about getting out tomorrow. What does the chart tell you? I got an April 30th call. What's Air? Is it A B? Oh. Yeah, Airbnb. Again, this kind of falls into the whole SPAC kind of zone. Like, it's kind of not a SPAC. Sorry, I forget. Was this a direct listing or an IPO? I can't remember. This one has been traded fairly hot, even though we've seen its first earnings come out. It was kind of like a pretty strong pullback here. I know you're seeing a lot of lines here. Let me get rid of those out of the way. As of right now, we're seeing some short-term support coming around 170 here for Airbnb. But for the chart as well, we're kind of just, I don't like to draw trend lines, but you're kind of seeing it kind of trade sideways here a little bit. Again, is it waiting on earnings? Is it kind of waiting on next news? I don't know the full like fundamental story on Airbnb. I know that that the people who invest in the company, even in March of 2020, have made a boku amount of money because they were looking to potentially close their doors on, and they had to let like staff lay off and things like that. But fundamentally speaking, I don't know the whole story. Technically speaking, we're having a lot of issues just really getting above 210. You can kind of see here on this area here, a little bit here, and mostly here, of being up that trend here. But it's just a very choppy chart, to be quite honest with you. You can see that all as well with the purple dots, the parabolic SCR dots. There's not a really defined area of going up or down. We are having a little bit of issues with that 50 SMA here. So around 190 and even down to 183, we could see some substantial levels to the upside. But as of right now, that 89 EMA is some short-term support around 177, aka where your call options are there. So depending on when you bought them, it looks like Friday was a nice little uptick depending on when you bought them. So that must have been a nice little pay there as well. Wesley, what's up, my friend? How you doing? Hey Ken, let's have a good week. I added QCOM to my long-term. Any thoughts? Daniel, yep, I love my QCOM as well. It has been not the most fun stock to own, honestly. It's pulled back quite substantially here. Again, we talked about that towards the beginning of the stream on that February 16th, where we saw the NASDAQ and a lot of the growth stocks and technology stocks really get a hit due to higher yields and things like that. I think QCOM has a little bit of a better story to tell, especially on seeing the 5G movement come through. So 5G, if you're not familiar with it, it doesn't cause as of right now any kind of terminal damage, aka it doesn't cause the COVID. But with the sorry, that's too soon of a joke probably. But QCOM, we do have some initial support coming in around 128 here. That's kind of falling into that 200 EMA here. Heads up, we have earnings on the 28th as well. So again, we're in that 2-week time frame, so we potentially could get that earnings little run up here. That being said, here we can kind of look at what the expected week is. Not this week, but the following week is about $10.50. So that can easily put us back up to that Fibonacci number at $144 to kind of see if we can get that level up here again. But depending, if you're saying it's a long-term account, you're gonna have to hold through earnings as well as myself. So I'm kind of here for the long haul. It has some short-term support around 134, 135, and then again that 130 range where we just talked about there. David says it took a lot of water to put the battery fires out. Yeah, I can see that. John says I have QS puts, stock should continue downward. Yeah, wow, that was a very interesting short report without a doubt. I'm calling it very much a Nikola kind of a pump and dump thing. And from my analysis, we did a kind of a video about 2 weeks ago talking about QS on some support coming around $42, but it could easily break back below 200 EMA, and it has. And I really don't want to be the first one to be buying this again. And I don't feel the most confident on understanding the business model. I understand what they do, I understand the thing, but again, if you understand the business model, they're not really going to be turning a profit and anything really coming into production until basically 2025. So we're talking at least 3.5 to 4 years from now. We won't see anything as a product in the market. That's basically just very much just early research here. But Depending on what your viewpoint is there, John, I think it could easily continue going down. It has been going down in the last coming weeks here. It's just been very choppy here, and finally it broke past the 200 EMA on the daily chart, so that's never really the best sign, without a doubt, to seeing how that plays out. I'm using Airbnb tomorrow. I think it's a good company. I like the Airbnb, the story, what I remember reading about. But yeah, it sounds like you're a much longer term investor than the guy with the short puts. Who pulled on plug? Greg, what's up, my friend? Yeah, again, you have to remember these like growth stocks and these SPAC stocks, they just haven't been doing very well. Because I don't think it's even just the yield curve what people are just kind of just like dying on the cross for. It's more or less the philosophies of like, hey, growth stocks and these really there's a difference between growth stocks and then really just like far out speculative plays. Like Microsoft, what category would you put Microsoft in? Is it a growth stock? Is it a consumer staple? Is it kind of like, I think it's actually both. I think it's like a consumer staple and a growth stock, but in that tradition of like, it's not a growth stock where it's growing like 40-50% revenues quarter over quarter or year over year. It's more stable than that. But plug really getting hammered here. Just remember, where has it come from? This thing was $3.79 last year around this time, okay? It has got a huge boost higher here. It got a lot of buy-in, went completely parabolic, hit that $75 range, but ever since that range, it has been a catastrophe. And remember, the SPACs, a lot of the SPACs petered out before we saw the overall market tank. So that's usually the first way how the market kind of goes. So if we start seeing SPACs come back, that's you're going to start seeing a little bit more of a larger appetite for risk. And it doesn't look like a lot of people that have a lot of money want to put a lot of risk on right now, because again, we're not seeing a substantial amount of buying here. You kind of see these little stupid trend lines that I put on there, but it kind of tells a story here. It really is putting it down here and just getting continuously beat up here and not seeing it breaking above here. So we're seeing it continue breaking below the 200 EMA. The 5 and 8s is just not really getting above that line there as well. So just a very much of a falling stock there. Again, the stock, it tells a different story than the company. Sometimes the stock goes too far above, like QS. QS was just saying these certain things. Tesla says certain things, but it's just the people who put the money into the stock could make it really go higher or lower just depending on their evaluations of it. Alpaca is asking for MNDF. Yes, we can look at that one without a doubt. Yeah, so this one, sadly, is kind of getting kicked by the wayside because it was a pretty large mover late last year. Of course, 2020 we're talking about. It hasn't come back as strong as we've seen a lot of the other stocks and a lot of the other growth stocks kind of get through there. But it has been kind of trending here lower here. We could have a 1, 2, 3 triple support here around $2.36. But if that breaks, we're going to see Hello Kitty to around $2. So if that continues to break here, especially break below 230 and actually close below 230 on a daily time frame, this thing could easily come back down to $2 here. It has been trading below the 21 EMA, below the 50 SMA. It just hasn't been trading too well. Again, this is more of a very highly speculative trade here as well, though. I think you know that, though, right? Makeshift, what's up, my friend? I like how Alpaca says he put the Airbnb in his wife's account. Yeah, you bought it. If you bought it at IPO, you're doing pretty well. Like PLTR as well. Nikola to 420. You say $4.20 though? BLB. Yeah, this one again, was this an IP? Yeah, it looks like an IPO or direct listing as well. Very choppy here. Not really too much to go off here, Allison. Honestly, it only has 1 quarter. So the reason why I always ask if it's a direct listing or an IPO. So if this was a direct listing, most people will sell their shares at the earliest print. But if it's an IPO, most of the insiders and larger firms have to hold it for at least 6 months before they're able to sell. So I would have to look at if this isn't like an IPO thing, because again, we could get another downtick again. Again, I have no idea this business model at all. This is the dating one, right? Yeah. Yeah. I have no idea how this business model works. Sadly, I don't. I've been happily married for what year is it? 6 years now, almost 6 years. But that definitely. I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry, I was just doing that simple math in my head. That is basically the fundamental story behind this. Again, was this a little bit of a hype train? Normally, like I like to tell people, I like to have things kind of settle off. So I always go back to Uber's IPO. So if we look at Uber's IPO here again, Uber started out fairly, I have to go a little larger here. Let me see. Yeah, Uber started out pretty. This is a monthly chart again. This is way back in like 2019 or something like that. If you can remember 2019, so long ago. Mostly, this is just theoretically looking at. Technically, usually after the third or fourth quarter as a publicly traded company, if they went the IPO route, you normally kind of get rid of the excess fluff, the paper hands, all things like that. But potentially you can get that large run up. So it's very hard. I don't do very well trading the IPO stuff like that. And especially something I don't really quite know the business model about at all. So, but the chart is a little too choppy for me. Sorry, I was not able to add too much to that as well there, Allison. I apologize. Next one, Boris says, Ken, can you please take a look at SQ? Thank you, and love the channel. You're welcome. SQ, of course, that is Square. Of course, Square, this is the payments software, Cash App kind of stuff, buy Bitcoin kind of stuff. With Bitcoin being down over 7.5% now, I think this could maybe tell a little bit a break in Square coming in tomorrow, especially. But I'm only guessing on that. I just don't know for sure. We do have earnings coming out the 6th of May for Square. So we're getting into that 2-week time frame, getting pretty close to that. So remember that what I'm highlighting about that is that 2-week time frame is basically looking at seeing if we can get sometimes a bullish run in the stock around that time frame. In that saying here, we are falling into some short-term support around 256. We're having a little bit of issues getting above 275 to 280, which was his previous high here. We're kind of meandering here. So could this be a double top? I don't know. I think that Square has potentially higher to go. I think it's a fantastic business. Of course, with PayPal as well, that's the stock that I'm in PayPal. But with Square, this thing is pretty volatile at times, so it could easily come back down to 245 to even 238. The expected move just for this week is about $13.87. So that's a pretty substantial move there within a stock that's only trading around $250. But we're talking about that initial support coming in just around that 243 range. But again, if the market does pull back, it's going to definitely take Square with it. But that's my comments on that one, my friend. Daniel says, puts for sure. I read the whole short report. Read the whole short report. They're saying they're lying about things and using wrong types of gradient to hide values of battery performance. That's the thing. Like, I'm always skeptical, but I think I consider myself a nice human. I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. Um, Again, I bought into QS around $26, and I sold it all the way up to like $100. I didn't get out at the very tippy top, but I did sell substantially all the way up. The QS, it's yeah. I was skeptical once I was reading their numbers, honestly, too. Greg's asking for AMD. Yeah, my baby AMD has been very choppy though. I think we're gonna hear some pretty significant stuff. We saw about TSM last week. If you're not familiar with TSM, that is Taiwanese Semiconductor. Did come out with earnings. A little choppy here. They're just, I think everyone just like is like, holy moly guacamole. Things are really gangbusters within the semiconductor industry. Again, adding demand, the increased demand and all the supply issues that we're currently seeing here is this, they just need to start ramping things up. And of course that is good to a lot of sections within the company. Of course, with TSM, is they have to invest more, they have to spend more to get those machines up and operational. But of course, forward looking of years down the road, of course, that would be potentially creating more profit if that demand continues, which I think most people do believe, because again, it's not like we're going to stop using chips. Not the chips that you eat, but chips in cars, chips in your printer, chips in your phone, chips in your everything, your microphones. I'm just looking at everything. I'm staring at my monitors, everything. There's chips in everything now. But that being said, with AMD, it's been very choppy here, and it's been a very telling story of this chop here. We do have earnings coming out the 27th, so not this week, just the following week. And I'm looking for some continuous chop here. We are at some pretty significant levels around that $82-ish range, which is that previous range that we saw, the 50 SMA and the 89 EMA. The trend, again, has been smoshed down here a little bit. So we're really looking to kind of get back above that $85 to $88 range. The expected move for this week is only $3.38, but the following week is well above $7.27. So that can easily potentially put us back up to $90 in the interim there. But to the downside, I'm seeing some pretty significant support around $78. Not meaning it can't break below that. It just, we're seeing, again, it has broken below the 200 EMA, but it has kind of slingshotted back or rubber banded back into those positive notes there. Let's see. SCNS says Dave. Yes, I've seen a lot of my alerts ping on that one. Again, this one, I think if a lot of people are new to investing and trading, is this is what happens when something goes parabolic, and the story doesn't align with the stock. And I have to say this on quite a few notes, because a lot of people just maybe get what's the expression of they put the cart in front of the horse or something like that. I don't know what the expression is, but basically they're already planning on these huge gains without really having the evidence or facts behind it. Normally this happens when a very large, like, exploding stock, which we really saw here. With the information we saw here, hit that 550 range. It has been everything but just continuously going down here. We're looking for some short-term resistance around $2 and potentially some support coming around $1.70 to $1.58. If we start breaking below that, we're going to be hitting into some more gap down filling to well below $1.15 to $1.17. But really need to seeing it break at least above this 8 EMA here, which is currently right above that $2 range, to kind of see if it can get that little lift off from there. Franklin says, hello, Ken. I'm on the set for shooting a documentary, but I'm still have time to check out your show, and have a great day. Franklin, I appreciate that. Hopefully, can you share on what show you're shooting for? I would love to watch it or support it in any way I can, my friend. I love my documentaries. What documentaries have I been watching? I've been watching this documentary about I just literally just watched the first episode. It's something like an art show heist in this very, very nice, actually, art museum in Boston. It took place in like 1991 or something like that, when I was a wee little lad, which I did never lived in Boston or actually really been in Boston, but I never knew the story until this documentary, and it looks pretty interesting. So yes, if you can share, Franklin, I would love to know. Yeah, coin is definitely going to dip, and I think that's yeah. I think it's a pretty good assessment there, alpaca for coin. So with coin, of course, there's really not much we can look at here. We have to go to an hourly chart here. Of course, we had that huge high tick around 430. And then just everything's just kind of been continuing down. Initially speaking, we do have that 8 EMA crossing over the 34 EMA. Again, we're looking at an hourly chart. Not much data to go off here. We're seeing volumes kind of really peter off here. But again, pretty much if we're seeing Bitcoin down 5,000 points here, nearly 8%, I think we can kind of see coin coming in well below 330 to even 320 to potentially be testing at those levels there. Brad's, my weekend's doing fantastic. I've been loving the nice warmer weather. Been making quite a bit of pizza in my little pizza oven. You want to look at thoughts on ROK? Yeah, another one that's going to be an interesting one. Actually, no, I don't know this one actually. Rockwell Automation. I've never heard of this one. You got me stumped. You got me stumped. That's a nice looking chart. Very nice looking chart. We do have earnings coming out the 27th, it looks like, the 27th or 28th. So be super mindful about that. Looking for potentially some short-term support around 262 to like 263.65 for that downward tick there. You saw it kind of gap up here. Again, I have no idea what the story is or the fundamentals here, but it did gap up on Friday on some news or something here. It kind of gapped up here, but it slammed in right into that parabolic SER dot, basically around 270 to 269 here. But the overall trend here on the daily chart, you just kind of see it swooshing higher here and just continue to kind of tell a pretty good story here on this grinding higher. But it does see like it has seen some chop on the way up here again. Looks like the last earnings was a pretty large dip here as well. Yeah, what the heck does this company do? Okay, it's a private so agriculture and software control product solutions. The agriculture and software. Okay. So again, this is clearly this has been ticking higher, and it has not really seen that dip that we saw in the Nasdaq or heavy growth stock. So this is again something that's slightly different. Yeah, I don't know too much about it, but if there's a great fundamental story and you're a long-term investor, why the hell not, right? Alex, can we please take a look at NNDM? Yeah, that sucker's been getting beat up. It's still, we did a video about a couple days ago. I can't remember. Everything's blurring together. It is kind of reaching in. I had an alert here breaking below $7.20. It did break below that here. Actually got down well below $6, hit dollar well below $7 actually. But it had a little bit of a pop. I'm not going to be the first one to be jumping out and saying, hitting the hammer and just saying buy here. And this is definitely something to look out here and be patient about. Again, this falls into a lot of the stocks that we have covered today, in the sense of this very large move higher here that we saw, again, to the growth names, to people getting into investing for the first time, and just like stocks only go up, and just seeing this continuous notion on just seeing things go higher here. But again, we talked about like that January 26th to around that early February timeframe, where we saw a lot of those high growth flying names that, again, that I've known and loved in 2020 are really got under attack here once we saw the yields tick higher here, and it scared quite a few people. At the same note, we've seen it down tick here pretty substantially here. Had a little bit of bounce again. We all know Cathie Wood, that we know and love, is in the stock, not as heavily as we would like, but I think a lot of people. But it has had a certain role. I think it has a pretty good technology. I don't think it's a bogus company like some of the other stocks that we have talked about. Initially speaking, I think the stock is finally coming into common grounds, in the sense of like, hey, the story really got ahead of itself. You have to understand, I know the fundamental story a little bit better on this one because I have done some more research on it. They raised a lot of capital. They've just hired some fantastic people to potentially start doing some acquisitions. So they want to grow the company. They want to acquire companies to help them grow, develop further research, and just create the best product known to man within the 3D printing spaces as well. So I think overall, long term, is it a buy right now? I think this could potentially go lower here. We're going to be looking for $6 potentially. But again, I could be wrong. This chart's going to be very hard to tell because, again, it has gone pretty much parabolic here. And now it has been kind of steaming and kind of printing lower here. We could potentially call this a double bottom here. It hasn't broken this previous low. So if it starts breaking below 650, that's when there could be some pressure coming in here, and really see this could potentially continue to kind of kick lower at those levels there. How is PLTR looking? PLTR, this thing has been in chop city here. Again, we're seeing it continue kind of come in here. We have some potential earnings coming out here. It looks like potentially, what does it have on here? Looks like it's maybe guessing sometime the first week of May for PLTR, of course. This one is getting a lot of love. It's one of the stocks that has been trending fairly high on a lot of things on Wall Street Bets. It has kind of toned off there a little bit. It has been trending pretty high on just a lot of people's like radars, a lot of people's watch list. PLTR has been on there because, again, it has like this mysterious aura kind of thing of like, what the F does this company do, and what the F do they do for money? Like, it's just like a crazy thing. The CEO is pretty much not really, like, he's just different, like, which is not bad. I think it's actually a good thing. But we have to go back to what they said in the last quarter they had of like, hey, they're not wanting, not the word wanting, they're spending all the money they raised from the IPO here. They are taking the money they're taking in, the revenues, and they're putting it into research. So don't expect a dividend out of PLTR like you see in a lot of other government defense contract companies. This is a very much a particular play, and what my time horizon is a long-term hold. So I got to thank Alpaca within the chat here. Of course, he got me on to PLTR, so I have to give him a nice little thumbs up for that. But I think that it could easily continue kind of just chopping around here. We do have some short-term support coming in around $22. If that breaks, we're going to be saying hello to around $21 to $20 for that initial level of support if we continue to see that downward tick here, which I think we could. Like, I don't know where the bottom is. I think this thing could easily come back to even $18 to $16, I think, if there is because again, we're seeing a lot of excitement. A lot of people are buying into the stock, thinking it's going to go to $50 or $100 like this year. Like, I'm a little hesitant on that. Like, I'm saying if the everything goes like gangbusters, I think we can maybe see $36 to $35 or $37 for the end of the year. But things really have to be shoot the lights out, and that's a really strong bullish case for 2021. Initially speaking, that might, depending on how the earnings goes here, might have to move this down to some lower levels, and depending on how the earnings really print from that ticker there. MJ, good evening. Ken, good evening to you as well, my friend. Forget research going to Dogecoin. God bless you, my friend. Alpaca says it's going to hit $100. I don't know when, but it's going to be before 2025. Probably. I don't know about yeah. I would love for it to hit $100 there, Alpaca. Hey Ken, what do you think about Plug? It's experiencing a breakdown. Daniel, I want to be 100%. I have okay. I make the joke, Daniel, on the again. I should probably say like a word like bazinga after I kind of do sarcasm. But the emphasis of like most people who are like, I'm buying PLTR, it's going to 50 next week, mother trucker, and then do peace signs and have money falling from the sky in their thumbnail or whatever. I don't think it's really realistic. I think that people have to be very mindful about that. I understand what they do, 100%. I made a pretty in-depth video about them. I've watched all the research that I can about them, and I love them. Like, I love what they're doing. I think it's absolutely fabulous, some of the products that they're able to do and how it's linked. I think it's what the thing they did for Formula One, Ferrari, the race car for their F1 car, and built that scenario. I think that's insane. You're able to do that from their platform. Could you imagine other things that you could do? But yeah. R2D2 is asking about experiencing. What do you think about Plug? Yeah, I think did we do Plug already? I think it sounds like we did, right? Yeah, Plug for me also R2D2. If I was your best friend, C3PO, I would be telling you it's in a pretty significant downward trend here. Can it bounce back from here? 100%. I think the EV stuff is going to be fantastic for a lot of stuff, but theoretically speaking here, I think the carriage got in front of the horse, or the stock price, and really didn't tell a great story of where the price could be going, and things got a little too exciting here. Again, we saw about that time frame, which a lot of things kind of peaked out towards the end of January, early into February. Have not seen that $70 for quite some time here. We are breaking below the 200 EMA on the daily side. There's also significant downward trend here. We have not been able to really get close above the 8 EMA as well. So we really need to see it back above 30 to even $31 to kind of see it get back into things. Not saying it can't do it, but we are seeing some pretty significant volume coming in here on these levels here. Again, this is really going to be tying to a very speculative trade here, because again, we have to get rid of all those weak paper hands that we've seen in the past couple months here. before the stock can really level off here. So I'd love to see it kind of potentially build a base around $30 to kind of see it trade sideways for a little bit and get some of these longer dated moving averages that are stopped from pulling down like this and start leveling off here a little bit to potentially see a recovery coming in there. Mr. Rim Shaker says PLNHF entry point question mark. PLN. Oh, this is Planet 13. Okay. So this is the marijuana, which is actually kind of funny because it's kind of been on the DL, a lot of these marijuana stocks, right? Because again, Bitcoin's really been taking the headlines for a lot of things. It looks like Bitcoin just broke below 8% here as well. So continue seeing it dragging down here, well below 5,000 points right now. So with Planet Fitness, again, this stock, I think this is kind of considered more of a reopening play, if I remember correctly. I don't know the full fundamental story. I know they have a huge facility in Las Vegas near the Strip. And I think they were opening one in California sometime, and also in Denver or something like that, in Colorado somewhere, and really kind of expanding on there. This is like the Apple store. This is like a very high class, very well done, like luxury kind of looking at buying and consuming marijuana there, which again I think is fine and dandy. Looking at, doesn't have options. That's okay. That's weird. The trend is continuing going higher. Looking at this one, it has broken out basically around that $2 range. Is continue going higher here. That's a weekly side. Initially speaking here, we have some short-term support coming around $6.40 and then even down to $6.05 to kind of see some potential actions coming here. Looks like earnings came out. It was a nice little gap up here. But yeah, this trend looks pretty strong here. As you can see here, it's been going from the lower left-hand side and going to the upper right-hand side. So all good in the hood, right? I'm going to email next week, possibly new business to discuss. Okay. You're talking to me? David S, what's up, my dude? What's up, my dude? Hope all is well. PLTR and LS long-term play with high upside. Yes, I have to thank you for NLS actually. It kind of came on my radar. This one's been a little tough to hold. I have some very longer dated options on this one. I think I got out of the options. I think I got out of the options and I moved it to stock actually. Looks like I did actually. Because again, it broke past that the 200 EMA here, which we talked about here. Been a little choppy here, but again, is this considered like a reopening play? Is this considered more of just like, hey, fitness is here to stay. People love the fitness stuff, blah, blah, blah. I need to do more fitness, things like that. It's got my blood flowing here. But this thing has been sailing pretty high here. But I think long term, I think it could do fairly well because again, it's pretty diverse within the fitness industry. I wouldn't be putting like my whole account into it, but again, between this and like I think a good comparison to this one is like PLTR, Peloton. Sorry, I was thinking that's right. Peloton, same thing, kind of has not seen its previous high here, but again, I don't think we're going to be seeing 170 to 180 in a little bit. Again, this is not 2020 more, this is 2021, and actually people need to be a little bit more reasonable with their assumptions. So as you can see here, you can even see less volume coming in here on those little blue bars down here below with some of these stocks here, even though again, is it considered a stay-at-home play? Is it a COVID stock? Whatever, like it just falls into those levels there. Um, makeshift. No, I don't think my audio is messing up. Let me know. Thank you, Daniel. Love you, Ken. Love you too. Thank you. Let's see here. Chris is saying, "Hey Ken, I'm a huge fan. What do you think about Chevron and the future of oil?" I know I'm not too doom and gloom on oil like a lot of people. I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, oil's going to shit. They're not going to be able to do anything. EV's going to take over. Blah 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 blah." Okay, thank you for that analysis there, my friends. I don't think oil's going to be here for quite some time, and I think that oil's going to have a pretty large play in the economy for at least the rest of my lifetime. I think we'll find again we've seen a lot of development with the EV stuff and things like that. But again, you have to understand oil touches everything. So it touches tires. It's in the industrial materials. It does this. It does that. Like, you think every country is going to be able to switch to EV in the next 10 years? Pfft, get the hell out of town. Anyways, Chevron. I think they're going to be innovating themselves long term. I'm not sure what your time frame you're looking at here, Chris. Initially speaking here, to look at this like 109 range, which is, again, we're looking at the weekly chart and we're going back 3 years here, which is the 200 EMA here, which was kind of where it was at around that 220 range before everything kind of hit the F. And that was, of course, due to the pandemic. But I think that Chevron does have a place in the world here. It does look like it has earnings potentially on the 26th, it looks like. I think you can easily potentially get back up to 119 to 120. Looking here on the monthly side, you're seeing these very aggressive actions coming here. We've seen the same kind of scenario in 15 to 16 where we saw Chevron get beaten up. Again, if you remember what happened to 15 and 16, that's when we saw a little bit higher of the yield curves coming back as well. And now we're seeing that same kind of scenario playing out where potentially the 10-year note, which everyone just like keeps their eyeballs peeled to, is potentially going to be heading to 2% again in the near future. I think that Chevron could easily be pumped up to around 115 to 120. Is it going to continue going higher from there? I don't know, but I'm not going to be going like, hey, you need to put 10% of your whole account into an oil stock. It's just going to be, I like to have exposure. Like I'm an XLE, which is, again, a larger composite of a lot of other things, but it is within the energy sectoring of stuff. And it kind of plays that scenario out a little bit here without choosing the direct companies individually there. Sherwin-Williams always goes up. Actually, Mark, you get like 15 points for that, because Sherwin-Williams always flipping goes up. Like it is a stock that just keeps on giving here. Like, look at this. Like, let's just look here on the monthly chart. This thing just continues going up here. This thing is just a beautiful looking stock. This is the monthly chart. Again, this is since October of 2011 when it was at $28. It has not really broken past, of course, just this recently 2020, pretty large downtick. But Sherwin-Williams, you get yourself 15 points and a huge where's the high five at? High five for yourself, because that is that is a really good point. Sherwin-Williams continues to always go up, and I think it's always a fun one to watch. But yeah, very large breakout here. Actually, wow, how the hell did I miss that? Wow, good. I'm glad. I hope you're in that one, my friend. R2D2, KMI earnings Tuesday. Some CNBC analysts say it will hit $20, 6% dividend stock. What do you think? KMI, is that the Kinder Morgan? Yeah. So Kinder Morgan it's not an MLP anymore, right? It's considered a full stock. As again, I have traded this one. You can, to prove you You can look here on my chart. Let me go to the monthly side. I have traded this one before here. You can kind of see here on my some very basic analysis in 17 to 2018 that I've traded it. But it has been very underperforming because, again, if I remember correctly, it's no longer an MLP. It's more of a stock, and it's like basically a highway or a toll road to transfer oil. Of course, if oil continues going higher and everything goes well with that, of course, Kinder Morgan will be going higher with that as well. Will it hit $20 next week? No, I don't think so. It potentially won't hit $20 until potentially September to December of this year. But the trend is still trying to go higher here, honestly, though. On the daily chart, it's been a little bit choppy here. It's kind of come into here. Again, earnings, you have to remember, is a coin flip, so be super mindful about that one on seeing on how that one plays out. But looking here, let me put this back to a weekly chart. Pretty significant moves here. It does have some attraction to $17.55 to $18 here. So if it gets back above that that level there, that we could see that potential nice movement here. And it does, again, it does use, like you made a good point, it does pay a pretty nice dividend. And it isn't that too volatile, of course, with the economy shutting down, of course. Hopefully that doesn't ever happens again, which, again, can't tell the future, but that was a huge cut in that move there. But again, to easily that $18 to $19 range potentially, but it's going to take a little bit of time. This is not like a Tesla that it can just jump up 10% easily in a day, which I think you know that though, R2D2. LNK and Coin has been my best altcoin over the last 2 weeks. Yeah, I haven't got into the coins too much, honestly, David. I went through my crazy coin phase in 2017, and it made me not able to sleep at night. So I really didn't participate in many of those altcoins. What's the technology behind that one? Nestor says, "What up? What do you think of NIO?" Yeah, NIO, the Tesla of China, whatever else people call it, showing some significant support here around $35 to $34.50 to potentially be a triple support level here. We are in the shooting range of 2 weeks time frame. We're seeing it that level coming into earnings here. I think that, again, EV is making a strong move, especially the Chinese government is pushing EVs really flipping hard here and really wants it to be the market leader within the industry here. Again, it has a pretty large, I can't remember, correct me if I'm wrong, that they got $1 billion from the Chinese government, but I don't remember if they paid it back yet or in full. Same with this one. This has, again, this stock was around $3 this time last year, and it has come up quite substantially here. It's pretty much at a very significant teeter-totter point here. If it starts breaking below and misses on earnings, this thing can easily break below $30 and see it kind of downslide from there. Diamond Hands, David, love to hear it. Awesome. 26 cents from the bottom. Very nice. Audio is great. Okay, good to hear. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, it looks. Oh shoot, my Slack just. Nice wedge on CVX. Yeah, I don't really look at those like technology or the technical levels like that, but it could be. Yeah, I could see a wedge pattern there. Yeti continued upside, been in August calls for over a week, up 80%, John. Yeah, I think Yeti is a great reopening play. Like look at this consolidation right here. Like this is the kind of the charts that I love to see here. That was a horrible highlight. What the hell happened there? I really failed on that one. Look at that really tight consolidation. While the whole market was like sweating bullets in January and February, Yeti was like, hey, we're going to charge $60 for a cooler, a tumbler, whatever the heck they're all called, and things like that. But look at this huge move higher here. That is insane here. It is spiking a little bit on volume here, but we have a pretty significant level around $95 to $100 potentially being met. Again, what is Yeti? Yeti is an outdoor play. People getting back out of their house with large coolers. I think Yeti has a great potential to continue going higher here. Again, a little bit overextended where I would like to buy, but if you're in this trade, like you're saying for the last week, like kudos to you, my friend. This thing looks fantastic here. With initially, again, we're seeing it trade between that 5 and 8 moving averages. It has not touched the 8 EMA, so we have some short-term support around $83 to around $82.20 if it does pull back here. If it does pull back significantly more, we're going to be seeing more support coming around $77. But with some near dated targets, potentially looking for $94 to $95 in the short term. But yeah, that is a great looking play here. Even zooming out to the weekly chart, but like look at that one. That's a pretty strong breakout move there of last week. So kudos to you in holding that one, my friend. Thanks, Kevin. You haven't been wrong on all what I've asked. Yeah, well, I'm only wrong about 50%. No. Can we do analysis on PLTR on Planet 13? Yeah, we already did Planet 15 or 13. Let's see here. Can you review on your plays for next week? What could you help us a lot? Yeah, we can look at some things. I don't have too many plays. I don't really look at it like a larger move like that. I'm pretty heavy in IWM, the Russell 2000. I've been buying a lot of IWM just calls going out until like, what was it, like August plus? No, sorry, I did 90 days, right? Yeah, I was doing like August. I was doing August and like June calls, so I was just buying like slightly in the money calls within this one. Again, I think I bought the 225s and 220s here. So looking just the overall play, especially in the Russell 2000, to see a pretty large comeback and seeing it potentially print higher here because it has been somewhat lagging. I really do believe that the value stocks are going to really be coming back. You have to remember a lot of the stocks that we're talking about, the reopening plays, the travel plays, and things like that fall into the IWM. So that's what really the ones that I'm currently looking at with the IWM. Another one I've been kind of looking at, I've been selling a little bit of premium on is BA, ticker symbol BA. So there's Boeing selling again. It has earnings coming out soon on the 28th. So I'll be potentially looking to kind of take some stuff off soon here. But I've been selling around the 240 puts here. Just kind of collecting a little bit of premium, not collecting too much because again, it hasn't really done much. But it did bounce off that 34 EMA here. So that's one I'm looking at there as well. I'm still in XLE. Has been a little, it's come down from the top. It's kind of been holding there as well. I'm still in CCJ. That has also come down. Speaking of MP, another mining company, that has come down quite substantially here in the last week. So this is looking at one, a long-term play for myself as well. Looking forward to see if it holds above like that 29.60 to 25 or 29.50. If it doesn't, we can see this easily start printing lower to $27 to $26. I really don't want to be getting into that because that's kind of where I got into the stock as well. So I have to do some evaluations on if I want to continue to be buying into this one. Because again, this was a SPAC. It could have a lot of negative press on it. There could be someone dumping this one. So, excuse me, I want to be very careful and mindful about this one. Those are just some things. Again, R2D2, I'm going to be posting some more stuff on the YouTube members tab and on the Patreon tab on some particular trade ideas that I might have. So it kind of helps you throughout the week, R2D2. JJD is asking for PRTS. Carparts.com. Interesting. I don't know this stock. It looks like I know something about it. Actually, I think I traded this one. This is the one I traded. Okay. I had calls on this one because I saw a super large order for this one go out. If this, I remember this one right. Yeah. Saw a large order go out. I was like, what the hell? Then I was like, okay, I think there could be, again, I just like used car sales. They're seeing a pretty large run up because, again, not many new cars are actually coming to the market due to you're welcome, R2D2, and good night to you as well, my friend. Gonna do a couple more tickers and we'll call it a night here as well. Got to get a early start tomorrow, folks. Again, if you haven't already, we got a link to the Discord. I am in the Discord I'm in the Discord every day when the market's open, but on the weekends I take a little bit of a step back. But yeah, join the Discord, completely free, no obligations. Have fun, a lot of great people in there as well. But with car parts, of like saying like the higher, well, we're seeing higher numbers here. Car parts like AutoZone, yeah. So basically, people are rather buying a new car or reinvesting their used car because the used cars market is so highly priced. Again, it's taking an astronomical amount of time to get a new car, getting it in production, and also all those kind of factors in that sense. But car parts, very interesting. Again, AutoZone, like you talked about, it's a pretty expensive stock as well. Again, this one, I just don't know it too well, the fundamental story, but I kind of like it. I kind of like the chart here. Like just seeing this, let me just highlight. So a little bit of a longer term play. I need to do a little bit more research on it. Or this could just be like a shorter term trend for me. I don't know. I don't know yet. But it's having a little bit of issues to kind of getting back above $16.70 to $18 here. That is something very interesting to see it kind of play out here, to kind of get bouncing around those levels here. It does have some support coming into the here around the 1420 to around 1325 range. But yeah, this is a very interesting chart to say without a doubt. Again, I want to kind of look at this a little larger time frame and understand the story a little bit better, because it has run up quite a bit here. I just want to be super skeptical that I'm not trying to catching the falling knife here. David says a BMW X7 M50 has a 6 to 8 week wait for delivery, and that's after you secure allocation. Wow. They make a BMW X7 now? I thought that was the largest model was a X5. That must be like a X7. That's a huge SUV, right? Wow, that's a beautiful looking car. Wow. That's a nice car. That's a very nice car, David. Beautiful looking car. But yeah, so that's basically looking at that. Let's just do a couple more charts here that I'm kind of looking at. MO has come up here as well for mine as well. If we get MO, which is breaking above 52.64, this thing could run here, but we do have earnings coming out as well here. Another one, really just a lot of the fundamentals again. If we continue to see the movement in the financial stocks continue going higher here with JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs. I really like XLF to be a little bit more precise, but they're all kind of trading in this continuous upward trend movement here, and it's really kind of capitalizing on that. David saying, I bought one last week. Nice, dude. I would love, that's a fantastic looking car, dude. Very all black. Like black rims too, like black on black. Very nice, dude. Very happy for you. Another stock that I like, which a lot of people probably know, boring Ken, is Disney. I love me some Disney. Again, being somewhat of a reopening play, has been kind of hit here a little bit, kind of pulled back here a little bit. I think has earnings coming out like mid of May here, so we're not in that 2-week time zone. But looking for this one to kind of catapult higher, because again, we've seen it kind of get to the $200 range, but I think if we kind of pull back here, build up some resistance, and defend off and defeat the stormtroopers and get back up to $200, I think that's somewhat in the cards here. If it doesn't, we can see it break below 185 and start making its way back down to 180. But I think very much a pivotal moment within the reopening plays. People want to travel, people want to get out and about, movie theaters, parks, recreation, spending money at Mickey's house, Disney World, Disneyland, all those kind of components is going to really help the bottom line for Disney, on top of their continuous innovation within Disney Plus, and really just putting on some fantastic shows there. Yeah, Allison, Disney does have a squeeze setting up. It has a so it has a yellow squeeze here. So it's a 3 days in. So this is something something to kind of really see here, to kind of print higher here. So I think if Disney, if the continuous notions are positive and we're seeing things going well, we don't see any lockdowns continuing, especially here in the United States, I think this thing can easily run up to 192 to 195 in the near term there for Disney, Allison. Let's just look at a couple more things. Looks like the NASDAQ actually went from negative to positive, so that's fantastic. We got Bitcoin coming back here a little bit. It was down well over 8% and $5,000. Now it's at $5,400. Again, those things can fluctuate over the next couple hours here until market opens here. At the same time, NASDAQ hitting near its all-time highs once again here. So be super mindful about that. It could be a little bit choppy here, but once we see that little movement higher. But again, we are hitting all-time highs. It's just not going to, something significant has to really pull it back here again. Who knows what the commentators or the talking heads on CNBC will say on the two-year note or whatever on those kind of complications there. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've been talking for a little over almost 90 minutes now, but I need to go to bed, get my shut-eye, get my beauty sleep. Again, ladies and gentlemen, please join the Discord. It's a lot of fun. We talk about all kinds of things there: video games, Costco snacks, and of course stocks and options. So, and you're more welcome to reach out to me directly if you have any comments or questions, and I'll try to answer them to the best of my ability. All right, guys, ladies, gentlemen, thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and I'll catch you guys in the next live stream or the next video. All right, guys, peace.